Welcome back to the Trailkings podcast. Today is a new episode where we're going to talk about quality control issues at the manufacturer level. Stick around to the end and we'll give you our thoughts on if this is a fixable issue. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set the tone. I did a video about quality control issues on the new Pro R that we purchased a while back, and everybody out the gate wanted to blame it on the dealership instead of where I thought the blame could be, because I don't understand how a plastic fitment issue could be on the dealership. When I say plastic, I'm talking about where how they line up and how they come together. On Polaris is they have like these little inserts where they pop in. If that's not lining up, that's off somewhere. These things don't come bare metal for the dealership to assemble the plastics on them to snap them together. They come from the factory like that.
Yeah.
So that's what the intent of that video was. But man, the comments blew up. You used a crappy dealership. Oh, that's a shitty dealership. Find a better dealership. I'm not saying there's not bad dealerships out there. I have my own long history of dealing with horrible dealerships that I'll get into. But this is not one of them. This is one that has been the best by far of any dealership I've ever used in all the machines I've ever purchased. And I'm not saying they're the best. There might be better ones out there.
Right.
But not the dealership in my mind. Now, in that video, I go into things like the cup holder. Yes, their guy should have saw that and fix it himself, right? And that's not that big of an issue. That is something I could fix. What I'm saying, for the cost of that machine, you shouldn't have to fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The other thing the dealership could fix was the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And it goes back. They could have caught it. But you gotta steer the damn thing out the factory.
Yeah.
And at what point do you not see that it's not lined up correctly?
Well, and to your point, dealership could have caught it, something like that. But at that price point, what's the point in manufacturing it half-assed just so your dealership can fix it? Just do it right at the factory.
Correct.
That's the problem at the money that these things have gone up to now. I mean, I'm double what my first one was almost on this last one.
Yeah.
And I still have similar issues.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
And with the steering wheel deal, it's even more of a problem now because there are buttons. We're talking about the Polaris brand, but a lot of our statements are across all brands, right? They all have their issues. But on the Polaris brands, the steering wheel has buttons. And so, yes, I'm a detail person. I walked up, I saw most of these issues on the front end. Dealership corrected most of them. Corrected the steering wheel for me, those types of things. And I would have corrected myself once I got home. I could have figured it out. I'm just saying, well, we've already said the dollar amount. I shouldn't have to, because I guarantee you there's guys out there that have no experience that are buying these things like, man, my steering wheel's off. So now they got home and they were proud about their machine and they're showing off to all their friends and family and like, man, you pay that and this is what you get?
Yeah.
It just looks bad on the industry, in my opinion, across the board. And so, and that's not the only thing out of both of us we've had bad experiences with. You had a bad experience.
Yeah, so I had some minor things like kind of what you're talking about. My skid plate, if you look at it from the side, it's kind of wavy looking. It almost looked like it was too long and they crammed it together.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's not like it was put on wrong. It's put on right. It's just how it looks.
Yeah.
Which, again, is plastic.
Quality control.
If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. There's nothing your dealership can do about that.
Correct.
But one of the main issue that I had, and I really kind of lucked out, but I got my Pro XP, which is turbo, and I don't know, 6 months in, no, about 3 months in, I guess, I had an engine code come on.
Yeah.
And I went to my local dealership where I live, and they had it for almost a month, and they had some computer issues and that kind of stuff. Well, they called me up and said, hey, we cleared the code, we can't get it to come back on, we think it's taken care of, which is never true, but I didn't know what else to do, so I go pick it up. It was under warranty at that time.
Yep.
We go on another trip, I come back home, we're out in the field riding, and same code comes back up on. Well, a buddy of mine calls me, or a buddy of mine that usually works on our stuff out there, I called him, he's not a Polaris dealer, so this particular thing, he goes, look, you want to take it to a dealer. So I took it over there, and they
Took it to his dealer.
took it to his dealer, about an hour from my home.
Yeah.
And so I took it over there, and at this point, it's no longer under warranty, of course.
Perfect, right?
So yeah, that's kind of what we call the Doug luck. That's how things work sometimes. But so I take it over there, and the guy goes, look, I'll see what I can do. I explained the whole situation, and they went like above and beyond. They went back to Polaris. They explained the situation. It turns out it needed a whole new turbo system. It was going to be, I want to say it's like $5,000,
Yeah.
4,500, $5,000,
Like
something
$4,000 for the parts and like $1,000
Right.
for the labor.
So what they did was, and this was, I was okay with this because of the situation, is I paid for labor.
Yeah.
I paid for labor, which was right about $1,000. They paid for the rest. So that dealership, which is there's some good ones out there. I don't know if there's a lot of good ones out there, but that dealership saved me just over $4,000, almost $4,000. So I got it back, but it goes back to, you can't put it in the hands of dealers because my dealer, I say my dealer, the one local to where I live,
Close to you.
close to me, 15 minutes away,
Yeah.
didn't care enough to find the issue. And I got it back, and had I not found another dealer, I would have been stuck almost $5,000
Yeah.
out of pocket. And I'm not the kind of guy that can just buy a machine and go spend $5,000 on it. I mean, we're talking less than a year old.
For it to operate the way it should operate.
Yeah.
And when this is not us beating up on Polaris,
No,
right? Like this is across the board with K&M. K&M's bulkhead on their X3 is an issue, and shock tower brace. It's a known issue for years.
Right.
This is not nothing new. When you buy an X3, if you're going to be rough on it, you got to brace the shock tower, and you got to reinforce and gusset the bulkhead on the front because how it was designed. That's what I'm talking about. Those are known issues that you just send out,
Right.
and to someone that has no experience, and then they damage something, now they got a damaged machine.
Well, and that's the thing, like the turbo, I'd never had a turbo before. After getting it back once it was fixed, I'm convinced it didn't work from the factory.
And because you never knew the difference between turbo and non-turbo,
No,
you
seemed
had no
fast,
idea.
Rode great. I loved it. But then I got a turbo, and it was like I got a whole different machine. Like they put a different engine in it.
Yeah.
And so that goes back to quality control issues
Yeah.
from the factory. I don't think the dealer did anything to make it not work before I picked it up.
Correct.
So it just goes back to looking for those things. And when you start looking, there's a lot you can find on these machines that are $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 that we shouldn't be finding now.
That's 100%. And that's where this video is for someone that is, new to the industry or to the hobby, and just needs some information, right? Is just because your local dealership sends you home like they did Doug, saying, oh, can't get it to do it again, clear the code, should be good. That was at the 3-month mark. If he would have stayed on it, which he didn't know,
Right, yeah.
he didn't even know his turbo wasn't working. If he would have stayed on it and found a better dealership, and we're talking about, I've had a bad dealership in Dallas. I've had a bad dealership in Kyle, Texas, which is near Austin, Texas. I've heard bad things about the one that is local to me, that's 30 minutes down the road. I drive 3 hours to the one I buy our last 6 machines from.
I drive 18 hours.
You drive 18
About 2 of them
hours.
there.
So between us two, we've had 8 machines from this one place. And by far, outside of them missing a cup holder and a steering wheel, it's been a great experience. And even my last trip there, I had some warranty work on Rowdy. They had to take off the dash to change out power steering. And this does not go into QC that this video is supposed to be about. It just goes to speak. There's truly good dealerships out there. The dash cluster, I know it probably happened. You had to take that off to get to some wiring, and the guy probably just set it upside down and just nicked the glass. For me, that's going to drive me crazy.
Right.
They saw my face when I first saw it and looked and like, oh shit.
Yeah.
They ordered a new one. They knew it, right? They knew it in their heart, like this is going to bother them. But I didn't even have to even point it out, right? They went way above and beyond, stepped up, and it wasn't damaged per se.
Right.
You know, it was a nick, and it sucks that the guy put it upside down or dropped it or whatever happened to it. But you know, they went out of their way to fix it. Great customer service.
But it's a known thing that this customer service and the quality you get from dealers, it varies. There are some very good ones. There's some very bad ones. So if I'm Polaris or I'm Can-Am, why put the quality of my product in somebody else's hands?
Exactly.
Instead of just get it done at the factory. So then they're what? Letting the shocks up, putting the cage on, and they're done.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just my opinion.
Now I'm right there with you, and that's where you know, they don't have no control over dealership. And we know in all industries this is a problem, right?
Yeah.
You have, doesn't matter what you're talking about, healthcare, real estate, insurance. The issue is with the automotive industry, especially power sports, is you don't have more than one Polaris dealership in a small town of 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in Dallas, I think they have a few. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the one, as the example in Dallas, the same guy owns the few. So
yeah.
They're all shitty, right? Like, they're all held to the same crappy standard. That's the problem for me, right? Like, you know, to go find a good one, you either got to find an independent mechanic. But now these things are getting so complicated. I don't see how independent mechanics are going to be able to keep up with them.
Yeah, that's the issue we ran into. The guy that works on our stuff is very meticulous about all that stuff, but he didn't have the equipment to find out what was wrong.
Yeah.
So we had to go to a dealership. So
it's even getting more complicated than that with these new dynamic systems. I recently learned when the power steering was have on the Fritz, and we learned this before when I had a carry bearing replaced by them. When you unplug the power steering and you plug it back in, you have to recalibrate the dynamic system.
yeah,
I'll say that again. You have to recalibrate the dynamic system or it will have issues in your ride command. I had no idea.
right, yeah.
They had no idea. Polaris didn't even tell them. Like, I get it back, we go to Stony Lonesome, and we track our GPX trails where we can share all the information for free, and I started getting warning signs. And we're like, shit, what the hell's going on? And we later find out that dynamics wasn't recalibrated and that's where the warning signs were coming from. Dynamics couldn't understand why I was always turning left and going up an incline like this. Like, that's how it viewed it, right? Yeah. Even though I was on flat ground going straight. Yeah. Correct. And so it made it. Now, I didn't ruin my weekend. I rode fine. Power steering did fine. And so that was way back when we first found out when you unplug the power steering, then you got to recalibrate the system. So,
but if you don't have the equipment to do that, you can't work on it. You can't replace simple things like that.
Exactly.
And so that's you're cutting out people that care about their work. So.
Yeah, and that's where. So back on the quality control issues, you know, is it fixable at the factory level? Like, what is the solution to that? You know, to me is have people that care about bolting shit on. Like, I don't know how. Like, someone already bolts on the damn steering wheel. Like, why can't you make sure that the buttons are lined up?
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Straight,
like, because versus someone that gets it, that has no mechanical experience, now is embarrassed they just spent 40 grand on a machine. Because I bet you when exactly when I bought that Ford, the damn buttons lined up, and I doubt they did that at the dealership.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
they're close in price too.
Yeah, exactly. So for all the people out there that wants to comment, well, your dealership is shitty, they should have done that. Like, bro, that's what we're talking about is do better, manufacturer. It shouldn't have to be put on the dealership. Yeah. You're starting to charge as much as or more than some vehicles. do better. Because even the shitty cars out there that you were higher in cost, their buttons line up on the damn steering wheel. Their steering wheel
Cup
is
holders are
straight.
lined up,
Yeah, the cup holders are fully installed. So if you're going to charge as much as for a small car, then meet the same qualifications, in my opinion. So, do you have anything else to add to the quality control? I don't know if this is a podcast or more like a rant. I doubt Polaris gives two shits
There
about
was
our
a
thoughts.
topic, yeah. They don't care about us. I should say.
Exactly.
And that's not a personal attack at anybody at Polaris. It's just
No.
You spend this money and you're like, golly, like this is. I don't know.
And it's not like we're not highly invested in Polaris.
Yeah, clearly. We're dumb enough to buy more, but we're just saying we prefer it if the machines, if plastics are lined up and that kind of stuff. But.
Maybe that's Polaris' strategy. Like, they're too stupid. They'll never figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But I mean, I just see this across all manufacturers. The KRX had a drive shaft issue. This is a newer machine that hit the market. Huge 15-inch wheels. To me was impressive. Huge interior cab. Huge bed. Like all these positivities. I mean, the A-arms on those things just look beefy.
Yeah.
And you start drinking drive shafts? Like, how is that the problem?
I know.
Like, with you're already so late to the sport side-by-side world. And when you get there, you come underpowered and breaking drive shafts.
Right.
Like, so
almost the same cost as a Pro XP Ultimate.
Yeah. So it's just when we say quality control issues, because we only own Polaris, that has been our experience. But it's not Polaris that is just the crappy ones out there. They all break. They all have their issues. And it goes back to people of me, when I answer the question, what's the best machine to get? The best is one, whichever design you like. I know someone that likes the Kawasaki Mule. Not my my preference, but he likes it. Like that's you. Get what you like because you're the one's going to be working on it or going to need to learn to work on it. And so, Yamaha has its issues too. So it's not like it's restricted to one brand over the other.
Right.
They all have their issues. You just got to figure out which design you like. I wish I could own all of them.
Oh yeah. If I had the money, I'd be like, these are horrible quality, but I'll take one of each and see how it goes.
The Talon, I like how they look.
Yeah.
I hate that it's not driver focused with the instrumentation in the middle, like back from 2009. Like, damn, Honda, get in the center of the driver,
Mini
like,
Cooper or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. And I liked both of those. Before I bought the second one, those were the two that were on my list.
The Honda,
the Honda and the Kawasaki.
The Kawasaki, yeah. I want to try that one. We have the climb to 100,000 subscribers. So every 25,000 subscribers we're hit, we're going to get a non-Polaris machine. Yeah. And so Honda Talon's on that list, KRX is on that list. Yamaha YXC, I'm hoping to have a design change where it has like more travel, but I am interested in that. Obviously an X3, we'll probably most likely get one of those. But where we can start getting other experiences outside of Polaris, we ride Polaris for a certain reason, and the main reason for me has been ride command. Like, it's just a huge benefit to the V2V technology it has, that you can see everybody in your group, my wife that drives, when he's in the back, and we can put kids in between us, and then we can see, where they're at. So if it's out of sight, I know my wife is still traveling down the trail, by the indicators on the screen. So with all their faults for all the manufacturers, there are positive things to be said about them. So we just can't pat them on the back too much. So at the end of the day, I don't know if there is a fix for it. I know we thought we'd have a solution after talking, but I think it's just being more focused,
Well, just if you buy something at the dealership, pay attention, look around,
Yeah.
make them fix what they can fix, and like obviously, that's 1% of the feeling towards side by sides because we ride them and we have a great time. We love
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you'd like to at some point when you're spending this money, you got to stop and say, okay, wait a second, let's
Help the manufacturer get
reel it back
better,
in. Yeah. So.
All right, well, we appreciate you watching another episode of the Trail Kings podcast. Until next time, stay safe on the trail.